I'm more of a kinesthetic learner, which means I like to learn hands-on right off the bat. Sometimes I might read just a little bit about something, but then I really like to get in and dive in and just work with everything, work with my hands, try the equipment out. By doing that, I've retained the information a lot better and end up in the end learning it a lot quicker than if I were just to listen to it or to read about it over and over and over again. Sometimes if I'm working on a problem, I might even like to take a walk or a run to kind of run thoughts through my head and maybe even visualize about what I'm going to be doing, but more visualizing it and what am I going to be doing in a hands-on way. When talking to people, I use a lot of hand gestures, I use a lot of body language. I like to be very personal with people. When I say things to people like stay in touch or keep in touch with me, I feel like I'm very in tune with the physical world around me. I like to get hands-on with anything, really get my hands dirty. Really the senses of touch. I like to touch things and feel things and kind of puts a mental picture of them in my head and just helps me learn the whole process a lot better.
I'm a visual learner. I use colors and diagrams that help me put mental pictures into my head, so that way when I'm studying, I have a better visual sense of what I'm doing. When I'm in class, I listen to the teacher, but that's not enough for me. I have to look at the PowerPoints, and then hopefully there's diagrams, charts, maps especially, things that I can visually see to go along with what she's saying, and that's how I best remember. I remember when she's talking what that part is on a diagram, what that part is on a picture. That's how I best learn.
I tend to be more of an auditory or logical learner. I prefer things to be verbalized to me in everyday life and in class settings. I like to look at patterns and see logic behind them. When I process through things, I tend to do it in a more logical, systematic manner, using my list on a day-to-day basis for anything that I have to do. I also pick up on individuals' logical flaws, and that's not always to their amusement. When I'm learning something, I tend to like to use mnemonics, or I'll rewrite things and read them back to myself. If I'm trying to learn a skill or steps of those sorts, I'll close my eyes and verbally walk myself through it. So I'm hearing myself do it as I'm visualizing myself do it. Often with lists, step-by-step lists to go through that. So overall, I just tend to look at things very systematic and logically and want a pattern or a reason behind why things are the way they are.
Yeah, so that's also where I go get my haircut, Studio B there. That's where I go get my haircut, is right there.
I prefer to stay around after class and talk with my teachers and classmates. I prefer social activities over being alone. I like board games that include other people and sports like softball, soccer, volleyball.
I tend to be more of a solitary person. I prefer to do things privately and think independently. I'm introspective and easily can concentrate on my own thoughts and then analyze them from different angles.
I am a social person because I like learning in a classroom or group setting. I prefer bouncing ideas and thoughts off of other people in a group. And I also like to work through issues, ideas, and problems with other classmates.
I spend a lot of time doing self-analyzing. I look at how I've performed in different aspects of life and see how I could do different or better at them. I'm also pretty self-motivated and have worked independently or self-employed in the past, using lists to keep me on track and to put order and a process to what I'm doing.
I'm a social person and I work really well in a social community. I like talking to people. I like bouncing ideas off of other people and allowing them to bounce ideas off of me. I am willing to always give my advice and opinion when somebody needs such, and I always ask somebody else for their advice when I'm in a learning and work environment.
When I do things like travel or personal hobbies, I prefer for them to be more independent. If it is around a crowd, I'll separate myself from the crowd. I also, when working through problems, will go and do that by myself as opposed to bounce ideas off of other people.